Hey everyone, it's John here from Untitled Hockey, back with another video, and this video is going to be another Seattle expansion mock draft. This time, we know the name Seattle Kraken. Things have changed. As I make this video, we're going into the playoffs, and we're excited about hockey, and the Kraken will be entering the league for the 2021-2022 season. So I'm going to go over the team and how I can see it, but I have to put a disclaimer out there. A lot can still change. And from this offseason and the following offseason, with players that are going to be UFAs, that changes a lot. For a guy like Taylor Hall, where he signs, that will affect how a team protects their players. Because if they're protecting Taylor Hall, one of the players that they were going to protect won't be able to be protected anymore. So, of course, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, give the channel a chance. Please smash that like button and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm going to make a lot of content like this, and I'm always down for you guys to suggest content, so definitely let me know. So let's get right into it. Starting with Arizona here, and I picked Seattle, selecting Christian Fischer. There's a couple options. Obviously, for a guy like Taylor Hall, we don't know where he's going to end up, so I didn't even bother protecting him because he might leave Arizona, but obviously Taylor Hall would not be available signed. So Christian Fischer could be a guy. I know Labushkin, Osterley, some of these guys are pretty underrated, so I went with Christian Fischer. They might not be able to keep him with all the other guys they have to protect. Boston Bruins, I went Anders Bjork. There's probably a few options here. What happens with Carson Coleman? I mean, there's a couple guys on the back end, but I think Bjork is pretty underrated. He's got potential there. Maybe the Bruins are able to protect him, and maybe it's some other guy they go after, but I will go Bjork in this scenario. For the Buffalo Sabres, this one's tough. And it really depends what they do with Rasmus Ristolainen. If they have Ristolainen still, they might protect him. But Brandon Montour, maybe they protect him or trade him. In that case, I could see them going for a guy like Colin Miller or a different defenseman. But I'm just looking up front. Is there really any options? Not really, right? And for some of these players, like Asplund would have to play games to be eligible. So there's just certain scenarios where these players would have to be eligible to get drafted by Seattle. I think Brandon Montour, if he was available, I don't think that's a question mark for Seattle. I would take Montour. Flames. This one's tough because, see, I would go Sam Bennett if Calgary offers something else up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they're just going to give up Shillington. But if they don't do what Vegas did, in a sense, is like wait for teams to offer up. Like, if Calgary just kind of says, just pick a player, I'm laughing and I'm picking Shillington. But I just can't see Calgary letting Shillington or Valimaki go here. And it's going to be one of those things, then do they trade Hanifin? But I just can't see them letting go of either Shillington or Valimaki. So even if Shillington gets unprotected, we've seen it before with Anaheim, and sometimes that actually backfires. Like Anaheim did it, but then they ended up losing Shea Theodore. The Wild did it, and they ended up losing Alex Tuck and Holla. The Florida Panthers did it, and they ended up losing Riley Smith and Marchessault anyways. So sometimes that's tough, right? But I just can't see the Flames. I think they're going to find a way to keep Shillington and Valimaki no matter how they do it. So that's why I'm going to say that they get a forward from the Calgary Flames, and I'll go Sam Bennett. I mean, they could go Giordano too, but it's one of those things like Giordano, he'll be like, what, 38? And I mean, Sam Bennett could be one of those guys that you saw with Vegas. Maybe he gets a second chance and he improves. So the Calgary's tough. Maybe they go Giordano. Maybe they go get one of the younger defensemen, even though I don't see it happening. But I'm just going to go a safe pick here and go Sam Bennett. All right, so there's a couple options here for maybe they go a guy like Warren Fogle. Martinook's there. I'm going to go Brady Shea, though. They could go Gardner as well. But I'll just go Shea. I think Shea's decent defenseman. He could probably jump to the top 4. They obviously have to get the cap up. Chicago, they could go defenseman, but if I'm already selecting 10 defensemen, as you can see, we'll go through it. I'll go Ryan Carpenter. He can be a good bottom 6 guy, and yeah, he actually went to Vegas. Donskoy, I think Donskoy is a good pick here. I think Colorado might be the one team that goes to protect 4 defensemen. I mean, we'll see. But if I'm thinking about it, Eric Johnson would have to waive, as I show here, because They're not going to give Graves, Gerard, or Makar. So either they have to go for defensemen or Eric Johnson. We'll see. We'll absolutely see. But I think they could go forward here, and Donskoy would be intriguing. And I think Colorado's going to need the cap space to re-sign guys. So while Donskoy is great, he'll be in around 30 at that point, and I think they can afford to lose him. Columbus, this one's tough. I mean, Ryan Murray, he'll be a UFA, so I don't know if what they're going to do there. There's maybe a couple forward options there, but I'll go Gavrikov. I think he's pretty underrated. Dallas Stars, this one's interesting because, again, are they going to re-sign some of these defensemen? Like, these guys are going to be UFAs when the draft comes around. There's some underrated forwards there, but then again, most are UFAs. So I'm just going to go Pavelski. Maybe like be a James Neal situation where you bring a guy in that maybe struggled but has that experience. Pavelski we know can be good, so I'll bring in Pavelski, take a chance. And then Detroit, there's not much to offer. I just brought in Perlini. Why not? And Edmonton Oilers, this one's interesting. Caleb Jones. I mean, I know Oilers fans definitely don't want to lose Caleb Jones, but Klefbom, Darnell Nurse, Ethan Bear. Like, I don't know like what you expect. You'd have to go for defensemen, and then that would leave guys like Cassian and Tyler Benson available. And I guess they might, you'd have to do Tyler Benson available, Cassian available, and then one of like Athanasiou, or if you don't re-sign Nugent Hopkins, like that would be tough. That would be a tough decision for the Oilers. But what's Caleb Jones going to be? Max, second pair guy. So if you lose that straight out, that's what happens in the Seattle expansion draft. But I think that would be a tough loss. I think if they can find a different alternative, but I think Seattle would definitely pick Caleb Jones. Dadonov. Okay, this is like one of maybe only a couple I do here where they're actually UFAs. But if Dadonov goes back to Florida, I could see Florida exposing Dadonov. But we'll see if Dadonov leaves or not in free agency. I mean, another option could be, I don't know, like Matheson, but do they even want that contract? Joshua Brown could maybe be underrated there. Like, there's a couple options. Tonitato, so. But I just went Dadonov. We'll see if they re-sign him. Jeff Carter, this one's just one of those things. Again, he'll be a UFA in 2022. You bring him in for 1 year, and then Seattle will have that cap space. So it's the same situation with Jeff Carter and Joe Pavelski. You bring them in, yeah, they're higher cap hits, but they're gone after 1 year. And honestly, if you're Seattle, you could maybe try to pull out a draft pick from each of those teams for them to take those players, but I don't know if they'll give in. Minnesota, man, if it's Brodin available, you take Brodin, no doubt here. They'll protect Suter because of the no movement clause unless he waives. Spurgeon, same thing, but they'll probably want to keep him anyways. And Dumba, I think so for sure. If somehow Suter waived his no movement clause, then you protect Brodin, but I don't know if that happens. Montreal Canadiens, I go Mete here. There's a couple options, maybe Jake Evans, Lehkonen maybe, Ben Sherratt maybe. But again, they have to keep in mind the cap hit and stuff like that. Mete might be a good option if they leave him unprotected. Nashville Predators, see, this one's interesting for me because the Preds definitely should protect 4 defensemen. Ellis, Yossi, Ekholm, and Fabro. 100%, in my opinion. And they got to make tough decisions up front. I would protect a guy like Jarnkrok, who's under team control. He's going to be an RFA, and I think you move on from Johansson. I mean, Duchesne's contract too, but Johansson struggled. And unless he bounces back in the playoffs in this upcoming year before the expansion draft, I would just unprotect Johansson. And honestly, Seattle might just take him to have a top 2 centerman who's either on that first or second line. I picked Mueller here. Again, not a lot of options. Hayden, like, there's a couple, but New Jersey doesn't have that many options, so I just picked Mueller. Depth defenseman, guy that can be in the top 6. Jordan Eberle, I think you either unprotect Eberle or Pajot. You brought in Pajot to play up the middle. I think Eberle might be the one to go. I think you definitely protect a guy like Bellows. Elias Anderson, he might be the odd man out, and he's been the odd man out. They just haven't worked things out in New York, and he might go to Seattle. You never know, but we'll see if he even plays this year for the Rangers or if he gets traded. He could. Ottawa Senators, I went Schlappick. We'll see if he plays for the Sens this year. There's a couple other options. I mean, I doubt they take that Zaitsev contract, but you never know. And, I mean, Chris Tierney, maybe. Flyers, I want Robert Hagg. You could go Van Riemsdyk, but here's the thing. Maybe Van Riemsdyk if you don't take a guy like Pavelski, because, again, you have to keep in mind the salary cap. So if you don't take Pavelski or you don't take a guy like Johansson, I could see them taking Van Riemsdyk. So keep that in mind if the Flyers leave Van Riemsdyk unprotected. I think if it comes down to Voracek or Van Riemsdyk, Voracek's played better, and they're only 1 year apart. Voracek, I think, has 1 year extra on his contract, but I think Voracek has always fit with the Flyers. I think they keep him. Pittsburgh Penguins, Jari. I mean, if you have Murray and he plays well, I think it's a toss-up. You either protect Murray or you protect Jari, and maybe they trade one of them. But in this case, if Jari's there, you take Jari if you're Seattle. San Jose, I just picked Dylan Gambrell. Like, I don't know what San Jose's going to do, if they're going to protect Brent Burns. I mean, I would imagine they do. But honestly, you never know. You never know. They might try to bait Seattle a bit and see if they would take that contract. I think they still think they can get decent value for Burns, but at that contract, the longer they wait, the lower the value. So we'll see in that sense. Sorensen, I mean, if he re-signs, he would be a UFA at 2021, and that's when the draft's happening. So we'll see in that case. St. Louis Blues, this one's really interesting. If Sanford somehow is available, I would take Sanford. But here's the thing, I just don't see that happening. I see them finding a way, whether it's trading Braden Shen or trading, like, if they move on from Schwartz, like one of those scenarios, right? So I don't think Sanford would be in that scenario. So I think they could get either Barbashev or Sammy Blais. They could even get Justin Falk if they wanted to. But lengthy contract. I think Falk would be great into that top. I mean, you already saw the guys I selected. Brodin, Montour, adding Falk to a top 4 like that. So I would maybe go Falk, but Barbashev's really underrated, and he's still only 24. And he'd be an RFA, and coming fresh to Seattle, he could be that third-line center. So I like Barbashev. Tampa Bay Lightning, there's options. I mean, they could go Yanni Gourde. I really could see them going Yanni Gourde. We'll see. But I think they might want leadership as well. And McDonough's always been a very solid defenseman. Maybe Tampa Bay tries to protect some of their younger guys. I don't know. But I'll just go for fun here, McDonough, and he can be the captain of the team. You saw in the thumbnail, he can be the captain for the Seattle Kraken. Leafs, there's not many options here. I mean, if they still have Janssen around, which I doubt, maybe Seattle takes Janssen. But I'll say they go Bracco. Leafs fans are laughing about it, saying they'll take Bracco. So they'll take a chance on Bracco. Change of organization, I could see it. Vancouver Canucks, this one's tough because we don't know if Markstrom's going to re-sign or not. So as I make this video, it's really tough. But if Markstrom re-signs and they have a no movement clause on that contract, which I think Markstrom would expect and ask for if he re-signs, and that would make Demko available possibly. So we'll see. And the Washington Capitals, I don't think Braden Holtby's coming back, but I just thought for fun, Holtby's wife actually tweeted out and was getting excited about the Seattle team and the name and the jersey. So I thought it was fun. Like, imagine Holtby signs like maybe like a 1 year deal, or if he even signs long term with a team that has another goalie and somehow gets unprotected. Like, you never know. And I mean, you saw what Fleury did with Vegas. Holtby could come in and play great with Seattle. So I just thought for fun, let's get Holtby on Seattle. The Winnipeg Jets, I just put Eric Comrie. Like, there's other options here. We don't know if guys will re-sign. Comrie's an underrated guy. Just add him to the depth on goaltending. So let me know what you think of that team. This is the jersey style, if you haven't seen it yet, for the home. And this is a lineup I just constructed, just to give you guys somewhat of an idea of what I'm thinking here. Again, if they maybe drafted Falk, I mean, imagine that top 4 of Brodin, Montour, McDonough, Falk. That would be actually really solid. Really solid to start. I don't think that top 6 is bad at all. Dadonov, Johansson, Eberle, Pavelski, Carter, Donskoy. And you have potential of guys that could step up. I could see Fisher thriving in a new organization. Same thing with Perlini. Same thing with Sam Bennett. Same thing with Jeremy Bracco. So I like the options there. Bjork could be very underrated. I don't know, again, if Boston will be able to protect him, or if they can protect him. Maybe there's other options. But then that top 6 brings you a lot of experience. Pavelski would be gone after 1 year unless you bring him back, but I think he would retire. Carter would be gone after 1 year. So, again, we'll see. I think we'll see with Seattle. If they want to be competitive right off the bat, maybe they take a longer approach than what Vegas did, because obviously we saw Vegas jump right after it. But I'll say this. All it takes is, maybe you don't take Pavelski and you take JVR, you don't take Shea, you don't take Sam Bennett, and then you use that cap to take a guy like Falk. I mean, that alone, again, we will see how teams protect, but I'm thinking if you put Falk, Brodin, Montour, McDonough, Falk, you have Donskoy on the right wing with Carter, JVR, like that could be a different scenario too. There's so many options. So as I did this draft, like you saw the guys that are available, it's really hard for me to make certain decisions because it affects different. Like if I take a defenseman, then I can't have this defenseman, and there's different defensemen on the depth chart. So it's interesting. It definitely is interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new. Smash that like button. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think one of these guys would get protected over someone else? Do you think there's a certain player I didn't talk about that actually could be selected by Seattle? Do you think that Jari or Demko could maybe, I don't know, be traded? Do you think Holtby ends up with a different team and just becomes the consistent starter? Because, if Holtby signs with like Buffalo or Edmonton, maybe he just stays there. So, again, this is early. This is early on. And so much is going to happen over the next like year and a half. So, we got to wait it out. But I wanted to release this video and just kind of keep releasing ideas. And I'll probably make another one soon with maybe a lot of younger players. This one would be somewhat of a competing team. I actually made one months ago of like a contender. And this one could be maybe a playoff team. I don't know if it's as good as the one I made a few months ago. But again, welcome to the channel if you're new. And thank you so much. I hope to see you on the streams. I'll be streaming for the playoffs. I'll be uploading every day. So I hope to keep seeing you on the channel. All right, this was John from Untitled Hockey. Seattle Kraken. Release the Kraken. Let's go. All right, guys. I'll see you soon. Peace out.